Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book from Oxford University Press. It's a big book, it's a heavy book, it's an important book. It's one of the Oxford Handbooks, in other words, and it's called the Oxford Handbook of Law, Regulation and Technology. It's been edited by Roger Brownsword, Eloise Scotford and Karen Yeung. And it's come to us from Oxford University Press. It's a very substantial publication in its own right. And Elizabeth has written the main review for this particular book. And we've given it the title, New from the Oxford University Press, Original Perspectives on Technological Development and the Legal Response. Let's look at the book first of all. It's a heavy book, a big book. It's got a dust cover. There's a nice front sheet, very modern sort of little mosaic almost at the front. I don't know what that is. Windows, it looks like. Probably the computer. There is the spine, and then on the back you've got some information, very little real information, but you can see it's a very heavy book. It runs to something approaching 1,300 odd pages. The index at the back is by page numbering, so it's relatively easy to find things quite quickly. It's a detailed index, which is very helpful. And once you've got through the index, you've then got, there's the beginning of the index there. You've then got the work itself. And what you can see, just looking at the back, you've got references right at the back. The name of the person who's written the particular article, which is the chapter, and the details about it. The inside back dust cover just has a little bit of information about the handbook, and the front cover likewise has a little bit of information about the book itself and the three main editors. Then after that you get the front page there, that's the main front page section. Then you've got the acknowledgements. You've got a lot of people involved in this book. The acknowledgements section is dated the 3rd of March 2017. So it's come out a table of contents, very detailed, runs through for a way. Then you've got the list of all of the people who've been involved in it. Now there's no way I can mention all the contributors. They're mentioned there by name with qualifications. You can see the names of them again running all the way through. Then you've got part 1, introduction. Then you've got, this is an introduction from the three editors, which sets out what this book is all about. Then running from the introduction, which is a relatively long introduction, we then get into the book itself, which is here. At the end of each, including the introduction, at the end of each, and there are reference materials. Then we get on immediately to the main detail. Chapter 1, Law, Liberty and Technology. See how it runs through, and as you can see, there are no footnotes, but the referencing is at the back of each of the main chapters. So you should find what you're looking for reasonably well. It's a heavy book, a very heavyweight book in all senses of the word, and one that I think will be with us for some time, because we're entering the 4th Industrial Revolution at the moment. There are massive changes on a scale we haven't really seen. Estimates of up to a third of the workforce having to change the way they do business. It's quite possible that these effects will come in really quite quickly. So therefore we've got to be aware as lawyers of what is going to happen. We have a lot of regulation at the moment, but we've got to have some idea with the new technologies what is going to happen, without getting too many crystal balls out and trying to think of where we would go. So what do we say? We say this: as the dizzying pace of technological change accelerates, can the law keep up? Obviously there is no one answer to such a question, if there can be any unequivocal answer at all. Yet within this wide-ranging and complex area of inquiry, a multiplicity of issues emerges, and as the debate continues, this new handbook from OUP will no doubt make a valuable contribution. We certainly think it does. Now, as the title indicates, the handbook presents a three-pronged approach dealing in turn with law, with regulation and with technology. The book itself, about 1,500 pages in total, has been a monumental endeavour without any doubt, with the 3 learned editors, all from the University of London, leading a team of some 80 international contributors from top universities and law schools worldwide. And the editors are careful to point out that the handbook examines, quote, a broad and intersecting field of research, and broad and intersecting it is, with a view to explaining what the word technology actually means and the intimidatingly vast distance it covers. They point out that the handbook does not merely deal with information technology, it encompasses most, or just about all, the technologies emerging at the moment, and obviously we still do not know how far that will go, but we've got this book which at least is assisting us with our current view of our possible vision of what the future will hold. So be warned here, as well as fascinated. The list is long. It encompasses the biotechnologies, the neurotechnologies, the nanotechnologies, robotics and more, each of which, say the editors, announces itself from time to time, often with a high-level report as a technology that warrants regulatory attention. With its many contributors, the handbook certainly examines its subject matter from a number of multidisciplinary viewpoints, ranging from psychology and sociology to philosophy, jurisprudence and more. Examine the handbook with any degree of thoroughness and you'll find, to cite just a couple of examples, a discussion on why human dignity should be a central topic when it comes to the regulation of technology. Interesting point. Jurisprudential point, of course, as well. And in a separate chapter, you are challenged to consider criminal responsibility as exemplary of the law's folk psychology. Interesting words used here, with the conclusion, therefore, that the criminal law is a folk psychological institution. You may or may not agree, of course, but you'll be intrigued by the convincing arguments which are presented by the contributors. Consider also the continuing development of biotechnology. These will offer exhilarating and inspiring advances in the control and eradication of disease and disability. But on a cautionary note offered by some of the contributors, there is much sobering discussion of concerns, not just about issues of safety, efficiency and equality, but whether certain technologies, genetic science in particular is the current area on the political agenda, can potentially destabilise the very fabric of our moral community. Got no answers to that, but the handbook at least is reviewing where we are at the moment, and I think that's very helpful, certainly for anybody involved in legal philosophy, jurisprudence and so forth. Now, logically organised is the book, and it's easy to navigate, and the volume itself should ideally end up in any number of professional, academic and law libraries the world over, not to mention those of the techie and the social media giants. You know who you are, blissfully or callously and deliberately unconcerned about the often unforeseen consequences of technological developments, primarily their misuse by the panoply of trolls, fraudsters, criminals and terrorists. We still haven't done anything about it. We're going to have to at some stage. The word regulation is used here. It's also criminal, and it's something that will have to be done, but on an international scale. And that's where the problem lies, of course. Let me conclude. In showcasing legal research in an emerging field, this handbook offers a number of original perspectives, as well as warnings in which sociological and moral, as well as technical and legal issues are carefully considered. This is an important publication in our view, which everybody interested in this subject should acquire. And as I've indicated, the publication date is cited at 2017. So have a quick look at it again. I'm not quite sure what that front visual is. It could be a number of things. It's artwork, but I think it may well be electronic devices of some sort. So if that's your question or problem for the day. There's the front anyway. There's the side and then there's the back. Just opening it in the middle. Let's have a look at The content for participation. This is the legal institution of public participation in the EU governance of technology. Well, that's a fairly heavy, that's an article written by Maria Lee. It's a fairly heavy subject even in its own right. Very topical, of course. You see how it's structured. There's an introduction there. It runs through, and then at the back you've then got footnotes and referencing at the back to find everything. So little vignettes all the way through, basically, by all the contributors, all of whom are very experienced people. And I'm sure, depending on what your particular query or research is about, this is the book for you. A big thank you to OUP. A very big thanks to the 3 editors for producing this work and putting it all together, and of course to the contributors themselves for the huge amount of expertise and information they're giving to all of us. A big thank you to everybody. Bye bye.